So let's start by creating a function that turns this kind of strings into this form. Define, let's call this sentence maker. So it makes sentences out of raw strings. Let's call these strings phrases, okay? Phrase. So it gets a phrase, and first you want to capitalize that phrase, right? So maybe create a variable inside that function, call it capitalized, or wherever you like, and say phrase, and use the capitalized method of strings. And in the meantime, you can use your Python interactive shell to try out methods to see how they work, while you at the same time create a function in your editor. So for example, let's say I want to capitalize this string. First I'd like to try out how the capitalize method works. So now I'm sure that it capitalizes the first letter, so that's fine. Now we want to add, to concatenate a period or a question mark to these phrases, right? But that depends, and so we are talking about a condition here. The program has to make a decision whether to put a period or a question mark at the end of the phrase. So let's go ahead and build the condition. If phrase... So how can we differentiate between questions and simple sentences that end with a period? Well, there may be different ways there, so that depends on the programmer and how sophisticated you want to do that. But let's keep it simple, and let's say that questions are all those that start with an interrogative word, such as how, why, and what. And you can check that with, let's say you have a sentence like how are you again. You can use the starts with method, which gets a tuple as input. So a tuple, and inside that tuple you can have some strings that you're checking if this sentence starts with any of these strings inside this tuple. So let's say how, what, and why. So that will return true, because how are you starts with one of these strings. In another scenario, like it's a good weather, you'll get false. So we can make use of that and say if phrase starts with how, what, and why. You can do that, or even better would be to get this tuple and save it in a variable. Let's say interrogatives, and put it there. So then here you just put the variable, and that will make the code more readable. So if the phrase starts with interrogatives, what we want to do in that case is to construct a string. So let's say return, the function will return this string. So that is capitalized. So capitalized will be the capitalized version of the phrase that the user enters. And then we want to add to that a question mark, just like that. So that will be replaced by capitalized, by that string, and that will add a question mark to that. So that will happen if the phrase starts with any of the interrogatives. Else, return. In this case, we will return a sentence with a dot with a period. Again, capitalized is what we put here. Let me demonstrate so far what we have. Sentence maker, so we want to execute the function, right? With a word, with a phrase. How are you? Save, execute, and so we get the sentence correctly. How are you? That's it. Now we have a function that does something and does it good. Let's now think about the other aspects of a program in the next video.